Hi everyone, my apologies for not being present in this webinar with all of you. This presentation is about a topic A3 called Significance of Play and Learning in Preschool. As you can see, it has been divided into three parts. The first part is more theoretical, including the justification of the relevance of this issue and a review of several theoretical approaches, objectives and measures that should be implemented to reach these objectives. We will see to what degree we've been guided by these objectives and these measures when developing this topic. The second part is more practical. We explain here several activities based on cooperative learning methodologies. Actually, we will use them when delivering the training to local actors. Finally, we talk about another useful activity we will use in order for all local trainers may evaluate the training of trainers that we are providing. Before starting with the first part, we should consider that our purpose with this topic is that the local trainers complement the information we provide in relation to the value of game in classrooms. We truly think that the training should be used for them to participate actively, constructively, and meaningfully. We are sure that their knowledge and experience will enrich the training, considering that either their field is education with children or they have worked with Roma population throughout their professional careers. Let's start with the first part called Playing in Preschool. As I've mentioned, it is oriented to justify or defend game as a means of learning in the preschool stage. We all know the objectives guiding this project. Here you can see at least three of them. Number one, to prevent early school leaving and truancy. Remember that when we talk about early school leaving, we are talking about people aged from 18 to 24 who have only lower secondary education or less and are no longer in education or training according to European Union's definition. And when talking about truancy, we are referring to students staying out of school without permission. Number two, to reintegrate early school leavers and eradicate a later need for special education, discrimination and segregation. And number three, to help Roma people develop themselves in many areas, in many senses, and provide opportunity to access formal education and work programs. Everyone should become what they want accordingly to their desires. Social institutions should help everybody find their own way. Nobody should suffer from discrimination of any kind. Society should promote equality. And everybody should be entitled to and have access to education and employment, regardless their ethnicity, gender, social class, etc. Among the measures considered as necessary in the educational sector, we would highlight the need to strengthen ties with families. For this, inclusive schools for parents, I mean schools that are attractive also for Roma fathers and mothers, would be very beneficial. In addition, we believe that it is not possible to make Roma children want to go to school. It is not possible to generate learning that is meaningful for Roma children in this case if we do not consider or if we do not empathize with children's cultural bases, habits and traditions. It should be noted that as one of the best stages for learning, preschool is also the best moment for teachers to detect differences among pupils and propose measures to avoid that these differences become inequalities and, well, compensate them if necessary. So the point is that the contents of this topic are in line with the objectives set out in this project and also respect the measures to be implemented in preschool for the benefit of Roma children. Having said this, let's introduce several theories explaining how important play and games are in children's education. Here we discuss some characteristics of play in preschool based on different authors and theoretical currents. In general, play is essential for physical and mental activity. Games help children's development, taking into account that through play, children come into contact with the real world to the extent that it allows them, for example, to spread their mind and imagination, to express their worries, desires, and fantasies, to overcome fears they face in their daily life. Games do not only involve playing, they involve learning norms, rules, things they will deal with in their lifetime. The real world is plenty of rules and norms we have to understand and respect. Games help us know that sometimes we need to follow and respect certain rules, especially when our acts can affect other people. Through games, children also develop their resistance to frustration, their ability to know to lose, for example, their ability to investigate, to discover, to experience. For this reason, games themselves, apart from relating to life, they are life. In our work report, we provide several theoretical contributions related to this issue. I will mention here a few of them. Herbert Spencer, for example, and his theory of surplus energy. This author defends that game is a way that children have to liberate the remaining energy through movement. In this sense, energy finds its release in the activities of play. Carl Groos and his pre-exercise theory is another example, according to which games are essential to later survival as a way to be prepared for dealing with life. Game is necessary for psychophysical maturing, and this is a phenomenon related to growth. Other theoretical currents state that play is a way of expressing children's autonomy. It is part of child's intelligence and help them develop their understanding, attention, and voluntary memory. Play is also a social activity in which children are achieved to play and learn roles by cooperating with each other. Psychoanalysis theory, for example, explains how game develops children's strength and motivation through pleasure and gratification. In this sense, game can reduce physical tension in the same way already mentioned in Herbert Spencer's theory. Well, here you have a sort of summary. It is a way of satisfaction, functional reproductive assimilation of reality, depending on the stage in which every individual is. Games in general can be regulated or non-regulated, but to a certain degree they are considered as a condition of every culture's existence. Anyway, you will find a few specific theories explained in our Word report. Let us know if you have any doubt. I've mentioned here only what I've considered more important. The point is that all these theoretical approaches justify why cooperative learning, as a method based on several traditional pedagogical experiences, is essential at this school stage. We should not forget that play is beneficial for all children, regardless of their ethnicity, gender, or social class, as I mentioned before. At the same time, note that the way to learn in preschool education, at least here in Spain, and generally speaking, of course, is through play, as it is known that it invigorates classrooms and generates a warmth and friendly environment in which children feel safe and comfortable. Here we include several questions for a debate activity, and as you can see, they are very simple. They are aimed at generating a debate in which the participants share their own experiences and reflect on games in general and their relationship with socialization and learning. On the second part. The second part consists of the practical implementation of some of the techniques that exist to learn by playing. Actually, we will use some of them to help the local trainers learn the 7 topics included in the part of the training of trainers related to the educational sector. Here we defend the player strategies whose effectiveness has been well demonstrated. Please note that they are just examples. Maybe you know other games, other activities that fit better with your local context, so please feel free to use them or not. Here we start with a game of initiation and socialization. It's a breaking ice game called Initials of Qualities, and it's very simple, as you can see in the explanation. Each participant introduces himself or herself by saying their name and surnames, followed by 2 positive qualities defining them and having the same initial letter. In the example, we have a Spanish name, Ramon, whose initial letter is the letter R, and the Spanish surname, Navarro, whose initial letter is the letter N. So this person would need to add 2 qualities defining him and having the same initial letters as his name and surname. In this case, in the example, we've chosen the qualities reliable and nice. After that, this person can explain to what extent these qualities define him. Okay, here we are providing arguments about the benefits of cooperative learning as an inclusive methodology, focusing more on learning than on teaching. Here we have different characteristics of preschool stage. For example, we mentioned that it is an essential educational stage for children. We are talking about their first school experiences, and they are decisive as they will lead them to feel affection for school or not. It has also a compensatory and diagnostic function of people's differences, and It is the best level for alternative learning methodologies. There we can work by corners, work by projects, we can boost cooperative learning. So, considering that preschool is an essential stage because of lots of reasons, as we know, we believe that this kind of methodology is very convenient. Within this kind of methodology called cooperative learning, we suggest the following techniques or activities that let children learn in a playful and cooperative way. The first activity is the jigsaw puzzle. Imagine we have a subject or aspect open for discussion. And this subject is divided into several different topics related to each other. So, all participants would be organized in groups. If we have 6 topics, we will need groups of 6 people. Each of them will be given a different number. Every number will refer to a different topic, so every participant knows what topic he or she will need to develop. Then every participant is separated from their original team in order to shape specialized teams, expert teams, which means that all the experts in topic 1 should meet and look for relevant information about it. All the experts in topic 2 should meet and look for relevant information about it, and so on. Finally, all participants should go back to their original teams in order to share all the information gathered and be able to reconstruct the whole subject. Just in case, well, for further information, please check this website. The second one is research teams. In this case, an experience or topic is proposed to pupils. For example, a workshop of stories. Imagine we have stories related to animals, magicians, fairies, giants. All pupils should be organized in teams accordingly to their own preferences, interests, whatever. The ideal number of members is from 3 to 5 people per team. Every team proposes themselves a concrete goal. For example, the fact of gathering 4 stories of every topic and share them to the rest of people. And also a few procedures to obtain it. Okay? Every topic should be developed, analyzed, and prepared to be presented to the team. Finally, the results are presented to the class group in order to be evaluated. Well, as you can see, it is a technique similar to the previous one, but more complex. In our local context, for example, this technique is related to what we know as working by projects. The following one is known as STAT, which means Student Team Achievement Divisions. This technique involves intra-group cooperation and intergroup competition. It consists of the following. We constitute groups of 4 or 5 members. They should be different from each other in some aspect, ethnicity, gender, social class. The trainer presents a subject to all participants, providing explanations and examples needed. Afterwards, all teams start working during several work sessions in which they ask questions, compare answers, discuss, expand information, elaborate outlines and summaries, clarify concepts, etc. And they make sure that all members have learned everything. At the end, the trainer has to evaluate each student individually. Let's say that the grade obtained by each student is transformed into a score for the team by means of a system known as performance by divisions. We will have students having different levels of performance. The point is to make all of them improve their grades by helping each other. That will also help improve the score obtained by all the teams. Okay, this is an example of activity for debating based on the photo word technique. This is just an example of picture that can be associated to relevant information provided by the trainer. In this case, this picture can be associated to the importance of cooperative learning. As long as we want to reach certain objectives, we need to cooperate each other. Regarding the last part of this presentation, another cooperative learning technique is presented here. In this case, it is useful for evaluation processes. It is called rotating sheet. Actually, in our university, we will probably use this technique to be evaluated by the local trainers, as a closing activity. Anyway, in this technique, classroom is usually organized in groups of 4 or 5 people each. Every team is provided with a sheet and different colored pencils, so that every person can write in a different color. They should use their sheet to write things they liked and things they disliked regarding a certain activity. They will also have to make suggestions about how to improve it. All things written are shared and discussed at the end. And that's all. I hope it helps you understand this topic and its contents. Do not forget that you will find a few more details in the final version of the Word report. Anyway, if you have any doubt or any suggestion to make, please just send us an email to the following address. We are sure that your doubts and comments will help us improve the contents of this topic and also our understanding of play at preschool. Thanks a lot for your time.